Okay, here's the treadmill portion of the test. We typically start with this. This is the first test. The instructions will be to press the start button. The treadmill slowly starts to move. Then what you will do with your right hand is you will increase the speed to 3.5 miles an hour. And once you get it there, with your left hand, you increase the incline to 2.5%. And you will walk here for 2 minutes. I'll be guiding you through and letting you know how much time is left. At the end of the 2 minutes, I'll say with your left hand, 5 touches, take your incline up to 5.05%. The test will continue for another 2 minutes, okay? At the end of the next 2 minutes, so a total of 4, with your left hand, you will increase your incline to 7.5%. 7.5%. It's 2 minutes. Okay. The test continues for another 2 minutes. When we get to the end of that, so a total of 6, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then you press stop. And the treadmill stops. At this point, I will ask you to carefully get off the treadmill, keep breathing, and then keep walking around the center so you can recover and catch your breath, okay? So that's how that works. When it comes to what you're allowed to do on the treadmill, that's just resetting here. I encourage you to walk like you would normally walk, okay? Arms swinging beside you. But because it's a treadmill, not everybody is completely comfortable with the balance of what might happen with your balance on the treadmill, okay? So you are allowed to gently press the backs of your hands against the arms of the treadmill, just to give you a bit of an orientation as to where you are. But you are not allowed to put your hands on the railing. You're not allowed to grab onto the handles or grab onto anything in any way. And if the backs of your hands against the railing look like you're really squeezing and pulling, and that's what's keeping you on the treadmill, that is also not allowed, okay? I really encourage you, if this is not working out for you and you feel like you're going to go off the back of the treadmill or lose your balance, you press stop, and the treadmill comes to a stop, and then you safely get off. That's the first test. That's how it works. Training for this would involve regular walking at different speeds, but if you get a chance to get onto a treadmill and walk at 3.5 miles per hour, at 2.5%, 5%, and 7.5%, that will prepare you for the test. There you go. Okay, here's the test where you have to lift a total of 110 pounds from the floor, hold it in front of your abdomen, and then put it back down under control. So it's 110 pounds. The requirements are for you to successfully lift it high enough and also do so biomechanically in a safe way. So keeping your back straight, lifting with your legs and keeping your stomach engaged. So if you do it safely without causing injury, that is the requirement, and it has to be lifted high enough. So the test should look something like this. That's high enough. If the bottom of the bar is at your waist or below, then that is not high enough. It must be lifted so it's in front of your abdomen. Then it's put down carefully and properly. That's how that works. One of the training tools that can be used for this is simply replicating the test with a weight that you can do, maybe with some repetitions, eventually working up to the 110 pounds, okay? Okay, next test. We have 2 kettlebells of different sizes. One is 25 pounds and one is 30 pounds. The task is to lift them and farmer carry them beside you. You will walk 75 feet in one direction, turn around, come back. So a total of 150 feet, and then you'll put them down. That's the task. The requirement is that when you pick them up, you do so safely with proper biomechanics, that you walk under control, and that when you put them back down, it's safely with proper biomechanics. So the lift should look like this. And then you'd walk 75 feet under control. You would turn around, come back to where you started, and put the kettlebells down properly. Okay? Proper biomechanics focuses on hinging from the hip, using the legs, the back stays nice and straight. Also, when you do pick these up, you need to stand between them, not behind them, but between them. And at the point when you're at your lowest, your heels must stay firmly planted on the floor. The heels cannot raise up off the floor when you pick up or put down. And that's how that test is done. In preparation for this, one of the tools you can use is simply replicating the test again with kettlebells of different sizes that challenges you and gets you stronger. Okay? All right, next test. We're using a single kettlebell that's a little bit heavier, 35 pounds now. It's a single kettlebell. This test is very similar to the test with the two kettlebells in that you're going to pick it up, farmer carry it 75 feet down, turn around, come back 75 feet, so a total of 150 feet, and then put it down safely. So proper biomechanics is the same in this one as it is for the two kettlebell test. If you're going to pick this up, you need to come beside it. You get to choose whichever hand you want. Once you've chosen, that's the hand you're stuck with. So proper mechanics with the back straight, heels pressed to the floor, pick it up safely under control. You walk 75 feet, turn around, come back to where you started. And again, back straight, proper biomechanics, heels planted to the floor. That weight gets put down beside your foot. And that is how that test works. Best way to prepare for this is, again, do the test. Different weights and kettlebells, practice with both hands, and that's how you prepare for this test. Okay? Okay, next test. When you do this, there's actually two tests that you do back to back. So we have a bar with the weight in total weighs 140 pounds. It is on top of 24-inch high boxes. And then we have the L hooks on the rig. They're set at 32 inches high, and the distance between these two is 8 feet. So your task, test number one, is to pick that up, carry it, and put it onto these hooks. That's the first test. And the second test is simply to put it back. So lift it up, walk backwards, and put it back on those boxes. That's the test. In addition to accomplishing the task, your biomechanics have to be proper, so you're not going to hurt yourself eventually by moving your body incorrectly. Okay, and then that bar has to be carried at the right height, meaning the bottom of the bar must be above the front of your hip crease, so higher than that. All right, so belly button height. That's where it has to be carried. So I'll show you how this works. So again, lift properly and get it high enough. That's where it should be. Then you walk forwards under control, put it on the hooks without slamming or dropping. Again, under control. You're allowed to take a moment to catch your breath and rest. And then from here, again, lift, get it high enough. That's where it's supposed to be. Walk straight backwards. And then properly, with a nice straight back, put it back on the boxes. Those two tests are done, okay? In preparation for this test, the the apparatus can be set up or something similar. So simply by doing the test with a weight that you can do with 3 or 4 or 5 repetitions, stay in that strength zone. That's how you would prepare for this test, or at least one of the ways you could prepare for it. You could also break it into pieces. Set up the box and just simply lift it off the box and put it back down, off the box and put it back down. Another piece would be just holding and carrying it a couple steps and back up and then put it back down. And then you can set up this 32-inch height on maybe other boxes or on a rig or in a squat rack and practice getting it, lifting it maybe from the floor is too low because it is 140 pounds, okay? So set something up where you can grab it or even just have these hooks and put the weight on here, okay? And then try to get it up off of here, take a few steps back, take a few steps forwards and put it back down, okay? That is one way to train for this. And then another way, and I'll put this back on the hooks here, and this applies to this test as well as the 110-pound bar that you need to pick up from the floor and hold in front of you and then put back down, okay? And then it applies to the carrying the 110 pounds through the stairs test, which involves, again, holding a bar. That's 110 pounds in front of you with your arms curled. That requires a lot of arm strength and upper back strength. So one exercise to prepare your body for that is to take again, a weight that works for you, that you can accomplish. And in this case, right, so maybe I'll just let this down, and then I'll try to get it up, and then let it down, and then get it up. Do this 3 or 4 times, and then put it back. Okay, rest, 30 seconds to a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and prepare the arm for the required strength and also the core and also the upper back to hold that position. And those are some tools you could use to prepare for this test. And it applies to a bunch of other tests as well, okay? Okay, here's another test. This is the bar with 110 pounds that weighs a total of 110 pounds. And the requirement is we have a set of stairs right in front of me, 8 steps that go down, and then a little platform at the bottom or a landing, and then 8 steps that go up. That's our area that we used, okay? This test, when you're up and you're going to do it, you're actually going to do 4 tests in a row. So the first test is to lift the bar, hold it in front of your abdomen. Again, the bar above the crease of your hips, so in front of your stomach. You're going to walk down the first set of 8 steps. When you get to the bottom, that test is done. The next one is up the far side. When you get to the top, that's done. Then you're going to back down 8 steps. Now the third part's done, and then you're going to back up the last set. That's the 4th part, okay? And the reason that I point out that it's 4 tests is you do have the opportunity between each segment to put the bar down, rest for a moment, and then continue, okay? I will say that with this test, taking that rest does not obviously make it easier. You might think it does, but some people, had they just persevered and held the weight and kept going, I feel they would have passed. But they put it down, rested, but then couldn't get it back up, and then their test was done and they failed the last part. So you do have the option of putting it down at the bottom, putting it down on the far side at the top, putting it down at the bottom again, and then when you get to the top here, well, the test is done. So then you do put it down, okay? Those are your options. The idea is, well, to know what this is going to look like and then practice it before you arrive, okay? So aside from accomplishing all of that, you have to do it safely and in control. You have to look like you're in control of the situation. The bar, again, has to be held above those hip creases, so in front of your stomach. And the act of lifting it up and putting it back down also has to be done with proper biomechanics, just like every other test that this video has explained so far. Those requirements are always the same, okay? So just to reiterate, as I'm going to bend down to grab this bar, my hips hinge. I keep my back straight. I'll grab that bar and I'll lift it, keeping it close to my body, and I'll pick it up to here. So um, so my bar, I'll just move this down a bit so you can see it a little bit better, okay? So I'm going to get nice and close to it, hinge from the hip, get nice and low, grab it, keep it close to me, pick it up safely, and then get it to this point. This is where I want it, okay? And then from there, I'm going to carry it. So I'll show you what that looks like. All right. So again, we have the options of resting, but it's not always easier if you do that. Pick it up nice and safely, get it high enough, and then off you go. Carefully, under control, one step at a time, across the bottom, continue up the other side, get both feet to the top, got it, and then back down, slowly and carefully, under control, across, make sure you know where you are, and then up you come, okay? Under control, making sure that bar stays high enough. All right. When we get to the top, again, nice and proper form, get it down to where it's supposed to go, and that's the test. Or more appropriately worded, those are your 4 tests, 110 pounds through the stairs, okay? I'll point out that if during the test you feel like this bar keeps creeping lower and lower and lower, if you think it's too low, well, it probably is, stop walking forwards, get it higher, and then continue, okay? That is allowed, but you do have to stop, make the adjustment, and then continue, okay? So this test does require strength, the grip strength, the core strength, the shoulder strength, and the arm strength, okay? That'll come from generally training for this. So this video shows tools and techniques, exercises to prepare for this, okay? But this test specifically requires you to practice with something in your hands that's heavy, walking up and down stairs, especially the backwards part, okay? And so what I'll do is I'm going to go down to the bottom of those stairs so you can kind of see this. There's a few kind of really specific things that if you practice them, they work really well, okay? All right, so from here, when I get my leg, my first step up, the natural tendency is to use that leg to get me up, but it's in a really awkward, tough position. What I recommend is you use the other leg. So bend the knee, drop, and then do a little jump, bloop, and then you get up, okay? Now practice both legs, because one of them is going to get too tired. So again, step, let the other knee bend, and then jump yourself up. That is the, I don't know, secret technique to going backwards upstairs, okay? So practice that, okay? The other thing is understand how big your feet are, okay? If you look down to see where you are, the bar can drop, your strength fades away, and then you can fail. So the idea is if you can look, get your head up, stay upright and stay really strong, and just use feeling to see where you are. That's important. So I know that if I push my foot too far back on that step and I hop myself up, well, now my heel is binding against the step. That's super uncomfortable, and it might actually push me back down the stairs. But if my toe is hanging over the edge, I know that my heel will land flat. So I'm going to practice that, okay? Practice feeling with my feet so that I can get in the right place. And then practicing that little hop with my bottom leg to get myself to the right step, okay? And then your grip strength and your core strength is all going to be used, and that's how that works, okay? So this test absolutely helps if you prepare for it, okay? Because it's different than what most people ever do in their daily lives. All right, there you go. All right, more preparation. So core strength is a real asset for every one of these tests, okay? Main function of your core is to create stability in your trunk. So I'm just going to go through some options. And what I'm going to show you is just a sample of like all the things you could possibly do. And you can get creative, but remember what you're doing this for and what the goal is. So here's a plank, all right? So a basic plank is hands below shoulders, toes dug into the ground. My arms are vertical, or if I can, I'm going to get a little bit over my hands, okay? That's my plank, okay? That's where you want to be. My upper body is pushing myself away from the floor as far as possible. And I'm holding and embracing, and that's my plank, okay? So, really good to do, but not the most fun, a little boring. So let's add a little bit of spice to it. What we can do is a couple things uh, which make it more interesting and better for us. If I widen my feet, just to make it a little easier for me, now I'm going to take my hands and raise them off the floor. Boom. All right, that's it. When I lift a hand, it suddenly makes it harder to be in the position, and my body wants to twist, but I'm going to resist that twist. That's the point, okay? So lifting a hand but letting my body twist is absolutely not the purpose of this exercise, okay? Stay strong, stay still, and now lift, okay? I can do the same thing with my legs. Widen my hands out a bit so it's harder, and I can lift a leg and lift a leg. I do not have to lift it very high. It only has to leave the ground to make this effective, okay? With these exercises, what I encourage you to do is find a type of movement that isn't that hard, so you can do it for maybe 30 seconds or 60 seconds, because you want that muscular endurance in addition to strength, okay? Another version that's quite fun is a knee to elbow exercise. So I'm going to simply drive this knee up towards my elbow, try to touch my forearm, okay? Again, the point is to do this slow and controlled, not fast and dynamic. And maybe the elbow touches, slides up, slides down, and goes back. Whatever works for you to challenge yourself over a 30 to 60 second span. I will note, if you're doing plank type exercises or core specific exercises, wait until the end of your workout to do them. Because all that core stability that you're taxing and fatiguing, you need for your other exercises, for your bicep curls and squats and shoulder presses, okay? Don't make your stomach tired at the beginning because you need it for the workout. And those are some ideas for plank.
So this whole video showed you most of the stations of the test that require significant strength and ability to accomplish. What you didn't see are the components that involve the stretchers, the scoops, and the stair chair. So those are all devices that you've practiced and learned how to use. For the test, we still look at, are you moving your body and lifting with proper biomechanics? Okay, so that's still a piece to all of those tests. And there's also a component where there's two of you working together, and there's a communication requirement that the two of you communicate properly with regards to calling the lift. So it's going to be on 3, 1, 2, 3, or it's going to be on lift, 1, 2, 3, lift. And so we look for you to execute that properly, okay? Throughout the video, I mentioned how to use the components of the test to actually put into your training to practice for the test. And then at the end, there were some additional exercises that I suggest you could do in preparation. Generally speaking, a strength training routine would have you exercise 3 to 4 days a week. 3 days a week is really good with a day off in between. So a schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And for really good strength training, you're looking for maybe 3 to 5 sets of around 5 repetitions per exercise. If you're just starting training, then what you're going to do is not try very hard. Everything you're going to do is at a low to moderate intensity. And you may choose to do higher repetitions, maybe 3 sets of 10 repetitions. That'll help you learn the exercise better. And then as the weeks go by, maybe every 2 weeks, you'll make it just a little bit harder for yourself, meaning add some weight, make your device heavier, and then as your body adapts to that, it can tolerate the stresses of a set that's lower repetitions. So if you're going to try to lift something and only do it 5 times because that's all you can do, that's quite a significant load to your body. So if you're just starting out, maybe 3 sets of 10 repetitions per exercise without trying very hard, then every 2 weeks, try a little harder, use a little more weight, put a little more effort into it. And then as time goes by, maybe another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks down the road, you make it heavier so that you can only lift it 8 times. And then another month, you make it even heavier so you can only lift it 6 times or only lift it 5 times. So from the time you just start up to when you're doing proper strength training of 3 to 5 sets of 5 repetitions and you're working really hard, well, that might be 3 or 4 months of time before you get to that point. Which means that if you do a test and components of it are really difficult and you're unsuccessful and your retest is in 6 months, the requirement is that you start tomorrow or even today and start working at it so you are prepared in time for when you need to be prepared. All right. Good luck with that. Take care.